our early project, which you were a big part of, the California Surf Project, which was a book obviously published by Chronicle for those who don't know. Eric and I basically just were, after spending, I think, one morning driving to Halama, we were talking at length about like, oh man, what would we do if we had the time and the money and this and that. And I think, again, a big portion of that is like looking at what people who'd come before us had done and worked on. And we were like, oh, we want to make a landscape and photography book about California. Oh, we should take your bus. Oh, we should start from the northern terminus and end at the southern terminus, Oregon to Mexico. And then the idea was born. And then I think at that point, the only complication was like, where the heck do we find the money to pay for this?
I sold one painting.
Yeah. And when he passed away, Larry Flame, famous, surf photographer, editor, basically the grant that he set up paid for that trip. And it was this like...
How's that?
It was kind of so weird and wild to think about too, and how all those things kind of like furloughed into one. And
we still get people that come in the shop that want that book.
That's so rad. Yeah.
It's almost like if you could take all that back and recreate that book again, because that book was that really told the story of California surfing.
A lot of the signs are gone. Yeah, almost a lot of the pictures in that book
like the
are
Shelter Cove
completely gone. Pearson Arrow sign's gone. Ventura Market's gone. The Redwood Logging's gone.
Still there though? That big South Park school bus. I saw that. I went to Humboldt a couple months ago.
People in Humboldt aren't changing much.
No, nothing's changed there.
So we went up to stay with my family that lives up there. Big, beautiful trees.
Yeah.
Poison Oak on a level you've never seen before.
Yeah.
He walked through Poison Oak thinking it's berry bushes, and we took a sauna at my cousin's property. He had a pit bull, so we couldn't get back into the house.
Yeah.
It was like guarding the front door, and I'm like, I'm not getting out. You getting out? So we didn't really have time to rinse off or anything. He got the worst poison oak I've ever seen in my life. He had boils, and he would just lay in the top of the pit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, I think I'm like feverish from it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you want to just call it quits and go home? You look like horrible.
Yeah, I had like lesions. But, as a young kid growing up, obviously in this, I think it's a small town. I mean, most people don't really realize how small of a town it is until they're here. It's a pretty tiny town. And I think growing up here and never having a passport, never traveled, Eric had, really seen the world before I had even gotten on a plane. I was so eager to like use photography as a tool to get out there. But the very first trip and the very first project that ever came to life was the exploration of what I would think of as my own backyard, right? California. And it's a rite of passage. Like you have to do this trip. I think to spend 50 days with somebody who knows it pretty well and who like had a lot of friends throughout it. It was awesome. And Eric, took the position of like official road warrior, road dog. And I was like, basically eating apple fritters and taking pictures. And like, I managed the playlist and would keep things clean. And it was a pretty funny and insane adventure. And to think like at whatever, 19, I can't even remember how old you were, like 40 or something like that.
I don't know, 85.
Yeah, Eric always seemed like he was like 50 years older than me, but he was not older than me just because he was so wise. But like to do that trip and then at the end of it, we were kind of like, that was cool. And we had a little press from it, like Surfline picked it up and this and that. But then to all of a sudden have interest from a publisher was like mind blowing. And we were like, whoa, like two kids from Central Coast, aka the Forgotten Kingdom, which usually people don't even care about, made something that was like kind of monumental within that culture was so interesting. And then to see it published was mind blowing.
Yeah, I asked Matt Mole actually, and Nate told me he's like Chronicle Books is the most artistic, best publisher on earth in my eyes, and I was like, really? So I researched it, and we went to San Francisco. And the guy that was already hooking us up, Mark Sanders, was like, hey, I have a publisher for you to meet. Then didn't we go surfing together?
Yeah.
And then she just walked us all in all salty in a pretty much a skyscraper.
Yeah, exactly.
With people with their scripts just begging to hoping to see her. And we were like, so who's this publisher person? Yeah. She's like, I'm the publisher of this whole operation.
She's like,
and we just walked straight into her office and we was just like playing around. Me and Chris were like, oh, that's cool. Just playing around. And she's like, all right, we're going to do a contract. We'll do the book.
That's great. Do you look at that project as your stepping stone into?
100%.
Was that kind of the project that helped you foresee your future?
And in many ways, remember when you guys had the shop, the other shop. You had 3 slow shops.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. 8631 up there, yeah.
When we came, I think when it really dawned on me, like we made the book, it was rad. It was this like love letter to California. We surfed in every coastal county and we photographed it all. Had a little film in the back, and it was this beautiful coffee table book. And it was awesome. But until we did like the little premiere event where we stopped at a bunch of different places. Hurley, we did an event, and the one in Central Coast, it went off. It was packed. I mean, there was like 500 people in there, like, in and out. And we had a little book signing and we did an art show. That was the moment where it really felt real. Like, whoa! And you kind of realized how these projects can be a tool to really engage with an audience that, yeah, you see occasionally, but to like bring everybody together.
And we're setting up art shows.
Yeah.
We're bringing all our trinkets from the road. We even brought the bus in.
Dude, Eric had made this like barn door opening art display.
That's right.
It was so rad. And we'd like take it into like a bookstore and they're like, what's that?
It was very weird.
There's like mites coming out of it. And we'd like, and it was all
and it would
sick.
Open up and it'd be surfboards and pictures. And
that was like a full stepping stone. Like from that trip, literally the impetus of my career like started. Like I would say that spiked everything because it got my work in front of, it was at Barnes & Noble and Costco. It was at Urban Outfitters across the street. It was crazy, like places that never would have seen it. And it was wild. And all of a sudden it was like, there were other projects coming up and me and Eric were able to travel to Iceland like 3 times. And then so it really changed things.
Well, I can remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I was watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I see an ad and I look and there's Eric,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? How is Eric on a Super Bowl ad? And then, the game goes back to a game, and then there's another ad, and then there's you, Chris, with in the Jeep, on the ridge.
I saw it too. I saw him back to back, stuck in a Buffalo Wild Wings.
That was a moment I just felt so proud. It's just like somebody that was able to just go, wow, that is amazing that this happened.
It's super funny, and I guess in many ways I think that like there's pride that comes from like growing up in a small town, growing up in small conservative family too, and just like not really knowing much of the world, and then being able to like take an experience and really take it and turn it into something. Because obviously like the greatest thing you can ever do is to hopefully fully realize whatever potential's there. And Eric and I tried to do our best to like, see that thing through and see it through to the end. And it was funny because it was 10 years this year, was 10 years since the project was published. Yeah. So it was actually like a really significant time to sit down and chat and catch up. And we were even talking, we're like, man, we should like redo the trip.
I was going to
at
ask
some
you,
point.
do you guys, could you ever envision yourself redoing that?
I think so.
Is life too accelerate?
Format.
I could do it, but I think the bus would complain.
The bus is on a trailer and we're like, we're here.
Right now, the bus is maybe getting towed over at an old art studio.
Yeah.
I literally have to take that bus out of there today.
Oh my gosh.